For the first episode of that after show, one of the things we're going to do is you get to pick which call we pick.
You know exactly which call I'm picking first.
I just want you to tell me.
5.
5.
We're
Line
gonna do it.
5.
We're going to do it.
Adam in Minnesota, thanks for waiting. You are on live with Jen and Matt.
Hello, Matt. Thanks for having me on. Just by way of introduction, one of your listeners came to one of my favorite corners of the internet, rpgcodex.com, introduced us to you and said that if I had a problem with your views, I got to give you a ring and talk about it. I guess not in person, but at least directly to you.
Okay. Do you have a problem with one of my views?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps it's more of an intellectual one rather than disliking you per se, but how is your system one of morality rather than just the amoral worship of whatever is popular or whatever demagogue happens to be successful? And as a follow-up as well, if you're going to admit that, don't you see that your system is the least possible, least practical, which is why you can claim that secular humanism has never been tried before?
Well, that's a strange double question because nothing about my view on morality is tied to what any demagogue happens to say. It is an appeal to the fact that we're physical beings in a physical universe, and the laws of the universe that dictate the consequences of our actions are going to be the thing that determine whether or not something is beneficial or harmful to us. This is a process that we continually going around discovering, and the only thing you have to do is for you and I to agree that we would like to live in a better world, and then work through the processes of trying to figure out what that better world looks like and how best to go there. So it's not about somebody said something. It's the exact opposite of that. Religions tend to be about somebody said something. You know, God proclaims this is moral or whatever. And that doesn't hold any sway for me. Sorry?
My position there is you need to take a step back for a moment because it's exactly what people said in their material conditions in the current culture. Because when you use terms like well-being, and harm and health and good and bad.
I don't.
As far as I can tell from your views, they're just informed by your personal desires and what you think ought to be happening.
Well, there
is no actual objective morality.
I never said there was an objective moral, so that you can make objective valuations of something by comparing the consequences of actions to a goal. But then you will always get to this point of where somebody says, but why care about that goal? Why care about well-being? But there's no objection to the secular moral system that I'm advocating that doesn't also apply to a religious one, because somebody could just say, why care what a God says, or why care what a book says? I mean, we don't even know what a God says. We just know what people say in their books that God thinks. And I don't know why I should care what a book says or what God says.
But the person who speaks of what God says or speaks of a moral system is distinct from you because you don't have a moral system. You just have your personal likes and dislikes.
No, I just specifically explained to you how it's not just about my personal dislikes or dislikes, that the physical facts of the universe are what dictate how the consequences of our actions affect us. And so,
but the goal setting itself.
Yes, the goal setting is subjective. Wouldn't you rather live in a better world?
There you go. How do you define
there you go. Is that like the end of the call? Was that your big?
Because that's the end of the call.
Was that your big gotcha? That ultimately, whether or not you care about a better world is subjective, because it is, and so is yours.
Wait, you're jumping the line because now you're saying you keep using the word better without defining it in any meaningful way, any objective way. It's entirely subjective.
Yeah. Well, no. Whether or not something is better or worse is with comparing it to the goal. The only part that's subjective is, do you actually care about that goal? And I would argue that you probably do, right?
Well, it's not just do you care about that goal, it's what is the goal. So you said it's only better in relationship to the goal. So better is being defined by you.
I just stated what the goal is, and all I was asking was whether or not you cared about it.
But you never defined the goal. You just said the goal is better, and better is defined as what brings you closer to the goal. So do you see the circularity?
No, I didn't say the goal was better. What I've advocated for is what we've loosely called well-being. And well-being is broad and covers a great deal of territory and isn't just a simple thing.
I think that would be helpful.
I'm sorry?
Let's discuss your definition of well-being then. I think that would be very productive or the best step to take.
So I'm the first to acknowledge, and have for many years, it's like you've never listened to anything I've said on morality, have for many years point out that well-being is not clearly and completely defined, and nobody's asserting that it is. This is a process whereby we are continually discovering those things which actually work in the interest of our well-being. But there are some simple examples that we can use, and it's all situational. But is it better or worse for my well-being if you chop my head off?
It could be either way.
No, it couldn't, because if you chop my head off,
for the well-being of who?
If you chop my head off, I'm dead, right?
Yeah, well-being of who?
And there's no. Okay, see, that's not you're not asking the question. You're not addressing the question I asked. I said, for me. You got to listen. I'm actually fairly cautious.
So you admit you have a purpose then? You have a goal. Like you as a biological creature have some end or purpose.
I have.
So that's the only way I can measure what is well for you.
Continuing to live and to live a life that is worth living. That is ultimately.
But you will die. I mean, that's inevitable.
Yes, I will die. It's inevitable. So what? So will you.
So therefore, your purpose is to die in some way or some sense.
No, that's not my purpose. Just like saying that my car's purpose is to rot in a graveyard. What happens to it at the end doesn't define what its purpose is at any given time. Well,
a car, its purpose is to be a servant to the human that created it and to our ends, because it's not a life form in itself. So if my purpose in designing the car was to dump it in a rubbish yard, then I guess, yes, it's to be dumped in the yard. But your purpose,
it's yours to do.
About what is well for you, I need to know you as a biological thing. What is your end? What is your purpose?
I don't need an end purpose. The purpose is the purpose of life is living it for me.
That's just what you're saying, but then you admit that
yes,
you're going to die.
Yes, that's just what I'm saying. Please tell me what the fuck is wrong with it. I've already acknowledged.
What is wrong with it is this, Matt. I can tell you.
I don't think you can, because I can't be wrong.
I can.
I can't be wrong about what I want.
Right.
Correct. You can't be wrong in the sense of your immediate gut desire, but you can be wrong in terms of your purpose or your end or the direction you move in.
No, because you need to demonstrate that there's some other purpose for my life other than the one that I'm giving it, and why I should care, and why I should care about that purpose. Because you can tell me that you have a purpose for my life, and I don't give a shit. You can tell me that a God has a purpose for my life, and I don't give a shit.
You don't have to give a shit. It just has to be there and present.
No.
And I hope to elevate you to the point where you will see that you do have a purpose and there is some meaning to your life.
You're not going to be elevating me by asserting that there's a purpose that I don't care about.
Well, but by showing you the purpose, you will care about it because it will be a moral imperative. Because it will be.
Are you going to show me some new purpose that I haven't already considered?
Absolutely. No, if we're at the point now where you're admitting that, yes, you are actually amoral and you just have your gut desire to live.
Okay, that's just an assertion from you. Are you going to show me a purpose that I haven't considered?
Well, absolutely.
Then do it.
You have. Okay. Do you have family members that you love that you would kill yourself to save them?
That's a tough question.
I can answer that.
I don't think I would kill myself for anyone or anything, but I do have family members that I care about that I would do a great deal for.
You'd run risk at least. You'd endanger your life to save them.
Sure.
Well, there you go. You have desires or things beyond just the mere staying alive until your biological body wears down.
I didn't say.
Have a greater purpose.
Stop, Adam. First of all, I didn't say it was merely about staying alive. And second of all, I asked you if you could show me some purpose that I haven't already considered. You've failed to even begin to do that. I live my life as much for other people because of the benefits that it has on me and how I feel about it as anything.
So you don't live your life simply to stay alive?
No, and I never said I did. What I said was to live a life and a life that's worth living. And for me, that includes caring about other people as well.
And how did you define life that's worth living?
I just defined it myself.
Himself. And
it's just whatever you want.
This is what it means to be an autonomous, free person. You get to define.
Oh, no man is an island.
Are you just going to keep tossing around aphorisms that repeat what the fuck I just said?
Well, you just said a free man can live the way that he wants, but you're still a man within a universe that's greater than yourself. And
the universe isn't greater than me in any sense other than it's bigger than me.
Well, it controls much of your life, how you get your food, how you get your shelter.
The universe isn't an agent that is thinking and controlling things. What you're describing is that I still have to work, I believe, as I said at the beginning of this call, as a physical being in a physical universe where the laws of the universe dictate the consequences of my action and their effect on me. Didn't I say that? So why are you just respinning what I said as if it somehow counters what I said?
fundamentally, I'm trying to get at your purpose of life, and all I'm getting is, and your moral system, but essentially all I'm getting is, you live for the purpose of whatever you happen to currently want, and
Correct.
there is no relevance to anyone else. So
It's not about what I currently want, but you seem to think that there would be something wrong with what I currently want, and you haven't identified what's wrong with what I currently want. What's wrong with wanting to live a life that I value, and that includes contributing and working with others towards a better world?
And there's nothing wrong in terms of that desire. It's how you express it.
Thank you. Bye.
I just wanted to get that one out of the way because that was directed right at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's start the vibe off right, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do one that's not directed at me, or actually one that's just not going to repeat what I said and pretend like it's rebutted me in any way.
Well, we can try.
The thing is that there is no counter.
No.
There is no solution. When religious people try to say, oh, well, that's just what you think. Dude, put on Big Lebowski. That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I know that you've got a purpose that's bigger than you. Okay, well, that's just like your opinion. Yeah,
but
it
that's
comes
a
from
set
God.
purpose of what the individual sets for themselves. For me, yes, I do have a bigger purpose in this life. It's my kid. That's my bigger purpose.
And by the way,
that doesn't mean that he has to make my child a bigger purpose than him.
By the way, there's one thing that I said that's going to be taken wrong and probably taken out of context, which is that what I want can't be wrong. That's actually not true.
Right.
The point that I was making there, it's not because you can want things that are bad for you. I can be wrong about what I want and wrong about what's in my best interest.
Right.
People vote against their best interest on a regular basis.
And that's why we
On
got
a regular fucking basis. The thing is, what I'm saying is when I want to live a life and a better life, and if my goal, as is the goal of secular moral systems, is to get better at getting better, to learn more about how the world works so that we make better decisions about what's in our best interest, I don't see how that could be wrong. And if you tell me that a God wants something different from me, I don't care. Why is he sending you as a messenger? God could come down and tell me himself.
And then it begs the question, if he's set out to give you a better purpose for life, in whose well-being and interest is that? Is it in yours? Maybe you don't want this. It's in his.
Yeah.
So it, again, removes the autonomy from you for your life.
Yeah.
There's
no demonstration that even a God wanting something for people means that it's better for them.
Right. It's just what somebody else wants me to do.
But when you start talking about redemption, as he mentioned, but we didn't quite get to it, and other things like that, all you're doing is preaching what your personal opinion is and deflecting the fact that it's just your personal opinion by claiming that it's coming from a God.
It's coming from a God, or this is how I interpreted text from God.
But Matt, you've made yourself a God. I didn't make myself a God. It just happened.